Hey everyone, welcome to our virtual Insider AMA session. As part of our Insider membership perks, we offer quarterly virtual sessions just like this, where Alex Norman and I join together to answer your questions and perhaps even help you solve some of those thorny problems, advance your growing career, or reach the summit of your business goals. We have a few minutes together to chat through all the things on your mind. If you are an Insider member, you can submit your questions in advance. You can come and hang out with us live. And we have got questions from far and wide on social media as well to help you learn how we think about the ecosystem as a whole. We are going to be talking through all of that and way more this session. So feel free to share your questions. If you're here now, drop them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. You can also post them on social media and we'll find them. Otherwise, if you're watching this after the fact, no worries. We're doing this all the time. So just make sure you become a TechTO Insider member and share with us your questions and we will get to them ASAP. Going to be awesome tonight. So excited you guys are all here to hang out with us. Also, at the end of this AMA, there is going to be an opportunity to network with other TechTO Insider members. So everyone that's here tonight, we're going to put you in these random pairs. You're going to chat with each other for 4 minutes each. Hey, you'll be able to hit each other's LinkedIn, grow your network, ask questions, learn from each other. It's super fun. I'll be sticking around and meeting at least 5 insiders. And hey, if you are joining this, watching this after the fact, you can see us at the next TechTO IRL. We do them, of course, every single month for 10 years in Toronto. You can also check out in Vancouver, Montreal, and more if we're coming to your city soon. Want to share what you learned tonight? Of course, you're going to share it out on the hashtag TechTO. And if you are here this evening live, you can always raise your hand and ask to join the stage. You can ask your question up here on video with me, and we can chat about it. I'll let you even ask a follow-up question because you are here live. Fun, right? If you haven't already, update your profile so folks can connect with you later. It's easy to do. Just head over to the right-hand side of the page, click your initials, upload a photo, add your LinkedIn, add your X, and so people can browse the audience and connect with each other live as we're here tonight. And to help kick off the event and bring it to life, I am excited to bring up Alex Norman, who will also be answering your questions. Alex, welcome to the stage.
Hey, Jason. Quick question. What does the F and the ASAFP stand for?
Well, it depends. If we're posting this in a place where a family-friendly audience is going to be residing, I'm not going to answer that for you. But as a TechTO Insider member, I can drop it in the Slack just for you, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a number of questions from insiders that I am so pumped for us to get through this evening. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just going to pick a random one because so many came in, both in our insider Slack, on social media, and to our inboxes. We've got a lot to cover. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You got a phone call first.
Yes.
That's another insider asking another question right now. Amazing.
You know, I got to start eliminating having people that can get in through my work focus. That's my father. Of course it would be. He probably has a question about...
We're going to start it with a softball, with an easy one. You ready?
Yeah.
How do you see the balance between proprietary AI technology and open source AI evolving?
Very simple question. I don't know. Like it's always the open source versus proprietary technology question. I'd say if this was 6-12 months ago, you'd probably say proprietary AI technology was in the lead. Facebook, surprisingly, Facebook has been throwing a lot of open source stuff out there that seems to have a lot of traction. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it depends. And I'm going to give it 2 non-answers. It depends. And I think it's going to be, you're going to see both grow, but for different uses. So, right. You know, I don't have a hard view here. I think AI, all I know is AI is going to be more and more predominant. I do, if I were to be, as an investor, I think proprietary AI tech has a slight edge because it has money going in, but open source has use cases. Do you have any?
I don't know. I think I disagree. I think, like, first of all, I think this shows what our members are thinking about, right? The whole community is thinking about AI. They're thinking about how they're going to build. I think this is a great question from a builder, someone who's thinking about this as a way to like implement the technology for their startup. They're probably thinking about how they're going to use that to get some sort of traction, some sort of investor interest, some sort of growth.
Yeah.
So in that sense, of course, you're going to gravitate towards some of these proprietary models, but I don't think that's right. I think AI is not the business model, right? You've got to find a great problem that you're going to solve. Distribution becomes important, of course, listening to your users, deploying the models in a way that's going to actually solve the problem. But ultimately, I think the open source stuff is getting so good and it's doing so well. I don't think you're going to be able to outpace it.
Well, I'm going to put a counter here. I think if it's really a question from a builder and saying which one should I bet my startup on, what I've seen in my portfolio is the companies that are going all in AI, and every company has AIs, but the ones that are really building AI first products, they've been testing and changing and using the strengths of different LLMs and combining almost like a Frankenstein, for lack of a better word, of LLMs to solve different parts of the solution they're trying to provide. And I think that's going to constantly evolve. And the best builders are going to know, hey, here's when I use Cohere, here's when I use Lambda, here's when I use OpenAI, and they'll take that unique sort of like secret sauce to produce their product. So I don't think it matters which one's growing, but as long as you know how to use each one.
Yeah, as long as you know how to use each one, but they're evolving themselves, and the implementations are going to change, and the way that each one is good at. It's going to get thorny, and all of these things are technology implementation questions that at the end of the day are not the core of the business.
No,
you know what I mean?
I agree with you.
And so I think what I want to say to the insider that asked that question is, you're struggling with something good. I love it. But really, at the end of the day, it's back to the fundamentals. What's the business you're building? Investors, maybe they'll invest in something like that. Maybe they won't, but ultimately it's not going to be the future of your successful business. Yeah?
Yeah.
We disagreed and we agreed in the end. I love that. I'm going to put that as
before.
I know we're keeping score, so I think that's a 1-0 for me. I think that's a 1-0. Okay, sure. Next question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This one's great. What, if any, added values are VCs assigning to profitability in today's climate?
So let me be clear. The question is not what value add are VCs getting towards profitability, but what value do VCs put on a profitable company?
Yeah, because that's a whole different question.
That's a whole different question.
That one would definitely be a stalemate for us, I think.
Look, I think so. I'm going to answer this with a couple lenses. I think, and I'm going to be hated for this quote, but I think Canadian VCs are getting more conservative, going back to the roots of like 6-7 years ago, where they were becoming more like value-like VCs, growth. I'm hearing more and more from this Canadian ecosystem. You have to get cash flow positive. You have to be default alive. You have to, be Canadian. And there is a time for profitability. I think but it's not the end all and be all for early stage VCs. I think what went wrong in 2021 was growth above and beyond everything else. What's the quality of this growth? Is there a real, moat here? Can you actually make gross profits? I think depending on your stage, it's a different answer, but basically what the immediate profitability, it doesn't really add value, may detract value even for VCs that are looking for growth. What they want to see now is, do your unit economics make sense? If they don't make sense now, so like if each customer you bring on, do they actually eventually make gross margin? Why will they? Well, they want proof that you can get there. They want proof that you can eventually get to cash flow break even and cash flow positive and profitability. So, and it's neat, but they also want to see scale. So it's a balance now between growth and the ability to say you can get profitable and really say that there's some moat here that you're building. It's not that you're going to grow and just keep on giving away money. But if you have profitability, no growth, you're destroying value. Jason, I can't hear you.
I think 100%. But the way that I would change the answer is trying to figure out why we're asking it. So someone's asking like, how do I do my best fundraising? If I have profitability at the expense of growth, maybe I won't do my best fundraising. So maybe you want more growth. But it's challenging fundraising climate now. Now, maybe you might say it's churning a little bit. And so forget what the VCs want and how they value profitability. But how are you going to set yourself up for success to fundraise? if you have profitability in your business, even at the expense of growth, you should hopefully be able to have a longer runway, longer time to fundraise, be more in control of those fundraising conversations. And I would say be in a better position to dictate terms on that. So
Look,
I would find, me personally, the best time to raise is when you've got profitability, you don't need to raise. If you're going to sacrifice all that for growth, I mean, it depends the size of the growth and the scale of the growth, but in a challenging time for a little bit of growth, no, I'd rather give myself more of a buffer on the timeline.
okay, I'm going to push back. And I think, look, to control your destiny is always where you want to be as a startup, right? But the question of getting to cash flow positive may not be the right decision for your business. So like most of these answers, general answers aren't the right answer. But like if you're, let's take the extreme case. You're trying to build the next infrastructure level LLM for AI. And you don't, if you get to profitability, you won't be an excited, you'll probably lose out on future growth and be dead.
Yeah.
Right. So like it depends on your business model, right? Like if you're a vertical SaaS, you don't have to worry about, get it. Like again, it doesn't matter if you're a marketplace where you're number one from network effects, you don't want to be profitable and have someone else just like lap you.
Got it. Okay, so there's some push and pull there, but I would say it's not so clear cut, and there's not a multiple that a VC is assigning right now to profitability. There's not a yes or no, not profitable, not looking at it, profitable, okay, I'll do it, or vice versa.
I would say there's probably some people in the Canadian ecosystem would be very happy to see profitability, but I think general venture community like to see the right mix between ambition and profitability. Not that they're mutually exclusive.
Okay, I love it. I think we handled that one well. Our next question is this: in terms of building a business, how do you keep up with evolving technology, market changes, and also demand?
You do you want me to? You're the one building a business right now. I'm building a venture fund, but
so the short answer is welcome to building a business. There's even more things to keep up with. That's the sort of maybe the silly part. The reality of it is that when you are keeping up with demand, which means there's a client or a user that is asking for something, you're always in step with market changes and technology because the customer is at the center of it, right? You don't have to worry about what a big consulting company or accounting firm said is the future technology stack. Who cares? You found something that somebody wants. If you have demand, you have it, right? So the customer will say, well, I need this problem solved. And you will search for a technology to solve it. The customer will say, I need another problem solved. You will change with that market. So I think it really should be demand focused, or what I would say like user or customer focused. And those things come naturally.
Yeah, you went to where I was going to go. Like the key there is demand, and it's being close to your customer. And I think many companies stop talking to their customers once they have a bit of signs of product market fit. You should always be talking to your customers, the customers adjacent to the potential customers, and if you're on top of everything, you'll see where demand's going. You'll see how technology can solve your problem better.
Yeah, the underlying, I always look for the question that the insider is really asking under the question. My feedback, and we on purpose don't show who's asking this question right now. This is, it's an anonymous insider. That's why you see me asking it. But to the feedback to the insider who asked it, if you think this is an exhaustive list of the things you need to keep up with when you're building a business, there are bigger issues because these are just 3 random things that you put together. And the random nature is fine, but there are like hundreds more things you need to keep up with. It gets harder than that, not easier. All right, ready for a change of pace, Alex?
Yeah.
Next question is, how to best connect or contact investors through LinkedIn?
So I'll go with the surface question first. Don't. I don't know about Jason. You're better at staying on top of the many myriad of ways people can communicate with you. But I imagine your Messenger, your text, your Slack, your WhatsApp, your LinkedIn. I get hundreds of messages a day. The last one I go look at is LinkedIn, so it's not a great place to connect with me. I think if you want to get contact or connect an investor, which is what I think the real ask here
Mm-hmm.
is okay. Easy one is to find, easy is to find a connection in common. So like, hey, hypothetically, easy, the best way to get in contact with me is get someone like Jason who knows me well, or one of my founders to put you in touch with me. The
Mm-hmm.
second, and that's not available to everyone. It's not obvious who I've invested in. It's, the second best way is to really understand what I invest in and send me a, an email. My email is easily available. Most investors, you can find your email. Then send a succinct email saying, "Hey Alex, wanted to reach out to talk to you about A, B, and C. I think this would be of interest to you because of Y, E, F, and G, and this is what I've accomplished so far. Please send me your calendar link, or tell me how I can when you're available."
Now, is that what most email outreach to you looks like, or what does it actually look like?
I'd say so many emails are like, "Hey, you're invited to invest in my startup." And it's like I'm doing a crypto blockchain AI weed company in Belgium. We're raising $25 million. Like, there's so many things wrong with that email, and people want to put too much information in the email. A succinct email, and maybe if you're brave enough, you can put a deck or docs in there. But like, I have responded to many cold emails that have come in but have been written well.
Right.
Right? But
So
like, most of them are
let's
shit.
let's pick an example. Because we have some insiders here live with us, and they're using the chat.
Yeah.
So here we have a follow up question from Alex Riley. She asks, "What isn't in an email that would stand out to you?"
So extreme example would be, "Hey Alex, I saw recently you were on talking to Jason on Quick Takes, and you showed an interest in, I don't know, automotive, the future of self-driving cars. I know you invest in Canadian founders. I like what you said. I've launched this company with my best friend 6 months ago. We both worked at Tesla, and we've got this unique insight into the future for self-driving cars. Here's what it is. We're raising 2 million, and we'd love to have you talk to you about more about this company."
There's the template.
Yeah.
What do they sign off with? Sincerely, best wishes, hope to speak to you soon.
"I'm gonna make you lots of money." No.
Yeah. I'm going to make you lots of money. Sincerely, Alex Riley.
There you go.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll add one piece to that.
Yeah.
I could even use less than that if I were
Yeah.
getting email. I would just like to see, I like to see traction.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be big, but I'd like to see they've started this. And I'd like to see something that goes like this. "Hey, we launched 3 weeks ago, and we already have 2 paying customers that told us we love it and can never go back." It doesn't have to be big numbers, but I like to see how long they've been working on it, what they've done since, and I'd like it to be impressive, right?
I'd say
So,
that one more caveat for me is why, like, it has to show that it's something I would invest in, because my fund, and it's quite clear, I invest early stage Canadian. Like, for you, you're an angel, you're connecting people with founders, so you're a bit more generous and open to more stuff, so they don't have to have that qualifying factor.
right. I mean, but they have to have that qualifying factor if I'm going to send it to you,
Yeah.
right? They go, "I want to speak with Alex. I would love to send them to you," but it's a no. And putting the traction in there makes it easy for me
Yeah.
to say, like, this is more than just an idea. I don't want to waste your time. So if I can send it to you, like, "Hey, it seems pretty cool. It seems like this automotive company already has like an OEM that's interested, and they've been working in the plant with them." Like, I want to be able to say some progress when I send it to you. Otherwise, like, what do they say? Ideas are cheap. Ideas are free.
Yeah.
So I want the people, and I want the idea, and I want the marriage of it, which is the little bit of execution, right?
One more thing. The worst thing you can say is, "I have an idea, but I can't talk to you till you sign this NDA."
How often do people do that?
I'd say it's not as often, not that often, but once a month, someone in a conversation before they actually want to have a proper discussion wants an NDA. And it's like, look, I'm not going to sign an NDA. I don't want to spend the time looking at your NDA, seeing if I can sign it. I don't know what you're doing. I may have a company in my portfolio that does something similar. It
Yeah.
just, or I might be talking to someone else I'm investing in. Like, it's just silly.
It's silly. Yeah, I think so. I think it also now shows that it's not a very sophisticated founder working on it, because I think people know this already. It's already driven through the ecosystem. And so this is a great follow up question that we have. I don't know if it's follow up. Again, they're in a random order,
Yeah.
possibly in the order they were received. But the next question is, how common is it to raise money during the idea or early prototype phase?
Hmm. This depends on 3 factors: who you are, what you're working on, and the market overall. So the market overall
Give me some examples
so like
of all three
and
factors at play.
so I think let's take an extreme example. An experienced founder that's created money for people in a similar adjacent area will probably be able to raise money off an idea. Okay, now let's take this example, click on it double further. So let's say you're now someone that worked at Shopify, you're well respected. Maybe you can raise money on idea, but it depends on why you need money for the idea before launching it, right? So, again, let's stick with self-driving cars, and maybe to get that first version, there's actually hardware cost and time, and you can't your minimal lovable product or minimal viable product actually needs time and money. That's good, but like if you're doing a vertical SaaS software, maybe you can even get a landing page and prove there's some interest in it, right? Like, so it all depends on how much capital you actually need to get something that you can validate. And the third thing is the market overall, right? Like when the market's super buzzy, like it was a couple of years ago, more likely to do it. Now, just for, I've invested probably in 8, 10 companies in the last year. I'm a few were based on an idea, but most had a product and like at least a design partner that was not paying any revenue, but building it with the customer or with the founders. A few had like 600,000 to 800,000 run rate revenue, which before was a Series A. Now that's maybe you raise money on it.
Right. So you'll know who you are if you're somebody who can raise money with an idea. Like if you have to ask, it's not you, right? Because you'll already know that you can raise money. If you're not that person, you should know that you're going to have to show some more traction, right?
And again, parsing this a bit more. It doesn't have to be a prototype per se. I have to believe you can build it, but if you don't have it built, there has to be some proof of traction or demand, right? So maybe it's the classic one from 5 years ago. I don't know if maybe it's now. You run a TikTok and you get a bunch of people. You send landing page. They sign up and put a credit card down, even though you don't have a product. You can say, "Hey, we did this one TikTok and we have 20 people that want to pay for this. They've given us a credit card." But we need money to build a prototype. That could get you over the hump.
Okay. I love it. Next question. What is something on your radar for 2024? Trend, industry, product, I don't know, personal health goal, whatever's on your radar. What is it, Alex?
I think we're starting to see a deeper understanding of how LLMs can be used and reshape certain industries. So I'm starting to see patterns of ideas in my inbox. One is recruitment. It feels like everyone wants to reinvent the recruitment industry. They probably want to do this every 5-6 years. But the idea that technology can now do a bunch of interviews, pull data out of this interactions, that there should be more efficiency in recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be monetization of short form video. I think the predominant, most people, that's their biggest media they consume now. I think we're going to see more people try to build ways to monetize it, being, hey, shop the video, stuff we've seen before, but I think there's going to be new efforts with that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really don't. To me, it's when I invest, I'm someone that invests in the founders. I do get some ideas where I like to get interested in, but right now there's nothing I'm particularly looking for in 2024. It's like, get me the right great founders, and they show me why it's something that's interesting.
And I mean, when you started, you're on your third fund now.
Yeah.
When you started it, obviously one of the founding theses of it is that there's untapped great founders in Canada.
Yeah.
You've now done this a couple times in 2024. Are there still great founders in Canada? I mean, you have to say yes, probably, but like, why?
So there's two different questions in there too. Is there great founders? There's great founders everywhere. Is there underappreciated founders that need support and help? Right? Like, again, so let's break those types of founders. There's founders that let's pick on our friend Andrew D'Souza and Michelle Romanoff. They built something massive. It's still their ongoing concern. If they go build another company, they don't really need help, and they're well understood who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I think there's a lot of founders that there's a lot of founders out there that need funding and need some help. And I think I think right now there's just as much as ever, if not more, because the ecosystem's grown. And unfortunately, there's less capital out there to invest in them. So right now, one of my problems, I'm seeing many, many great teams with traction, with great insights, and there's just not enough dollars to go around the ecosystem. What's
I mean,
your thoughts?
if you were, I was going to say, like, if you were doing a really great job on Fund One and Fund Two, like, ideally, this arbitrage would disappear, right? This arbitrage of underappreciated founders in Canada and not
No,
enough
I
dollars would
look.
go away.
Well, look, I think with the arbitrage, it depends where the arbitrage comes from. Like, so I hate saying there's arbitrage value. I think generally, I'd say the markets are not efficient, and where they put value is in like what they call the super founder profile, right? Someone that went to University of Waterloo, was at Shopify from when I went public to went 5 billion. Someone that joined Venue as the first 20 employees before it went public, right? Like, they're pattern matching with experience. And I think why there's opportunity in Canada is there's a lot of people from different experiences that the market doesn't understand. U of T has great engineering. UBC has great engineering. Someone that helped Ritual grow. Ritual is not a homegrown talents, name, right? Like, so I think there's just fewer people looking at this market. So there's fewer people that spend the time to understand the nuances of what great founders can come from, what their experiences and who they are, right? At the early stage, you are investing in a big opportunity, a big idea, but it is about the founders. And an efficient market would say, we understand everyone's background well, and it doesn't. And I think the Valley understands a bit better because there's just more investors, there's more companies, and also there's more success. So lots of the early funding for companies historically has come from people working with you. So, hey, I used to be at Wealthsimple. I don't know, who'd you know? Give me one. Irene, Mallory?
Yeah.
Mallory's great. I don't care what she's working on. I'll give her a check. And, you see that Pinterest, someone leaves Pinterest. They raised their first $500,000 from people that made 5 million in equity. And we don't have enough of that yet. So that's one reason there isn't that. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting lots of companies scale up, but it takes time. It takes years, decades.
Got it. Love it. We have a awesome question from the audience. So again, if you are a TechTO Insider member, one of the benefits is you get to come and hang out during these AMAs live with us. And if the opportunity or mood strikes you, you actually can come on stage and ask your question. So I'm excited to bring up, if you'd like, Michael, and if not, I'll just bring your question up. Michael, not a big deal. Okay, you want to do it. Let's do it. Hey, Michael.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
You sound
Perfect.
great.
Sure. So back in the last century, I was part of a startup and we grew organically. 5 engineers, we had a professor, we got contracts, and we sort of bootstrapped ourselves. And we thought that was a cool thing. We didn't need any external investing. I occasionally see startups in the Toronto area that do the same, and they seek a Series A in their 3rd or 4th or 5th year. So is that a good thing? Is it impressive? Or is that a bad thing in that you're limiting your potential for growth?
So I think both of us should answer. So I'll take it first. I don't think there's a good or bad thing, right? Capital is a tool to get you to your destination. I think there's a lot of companies that raising capital for venture funds is the wrong idea, right? I think there's a lot of companies that don't raise venture funds that need it. Now, bootstrapping and raising, I think it depends. And sometimes the market changes. I think that's what happened to Mike McDermott at FreshBooks. He was never going to raise. Then you had Zero and the other competitors enter the market wave. So I feel like he felt like he had enough product. He had to scale his marketing efforts. He had to go get more of the market share. I think sometimes you bootstrap and find an opportunity you didn't realize before. And you say, let's get, eBay, for example, never needed capital. They wanted the expertise. So I think capital is another way you build your business, and it's a decision that depends on the company. There's no good, bad, or wrong. There's no bad answer unless you've got the wrong investors on the cap table, right? So like venture, you need to know that they want to go for scale. Angels may have a different interest. Debt, could sink you if you can't repay it on time. So don't think there's a good or wrong, bad answer here. I think just understands what your needs of the business and what you're trying to accomplish with the money you raise. Jason?
My mindset is that Michael was doing it right. I am always anti-VC. I agree, yes, it's a tool that you can use and pour fuel on the fire. Sure. But whenever you can, if you don't need it, why would you take it?
So why
when you don't need it, it's the best time to take it, right? But I love these bootstrap stories that the venture or even the later stage venture almost looks like private equity come in to provide liquidity to the early team. That's my favorite. What a great use of private capital. So, in the Toronto ecosystem, I think the real winning story there is 1Password. How many years were they bootstrapped, Alex?
Many.
I don't know, a decade or more, right? And then the first round that they did, Michael, you're going to love this. It was like $200 million on a multi-billion-dollar valuation, I think, right? And where does the money go? Well, the team's already humming. Like the distribution's great. I'm sure they made a story up like, we're going to go after teams. We're going to go up market to enterprise. But I think a lot of that money went into the pockets of the early team, which I think is amazing. And it also helps them attract an executive leadership team to take over from the founders. It gives them board structures and relationships and legitimizes the next generation of the company. What a great use.
I actually think if you want to understand why they raised, I think we did a Founders and Funding podcast where we went through it, and they actually talked about they weren't looking for money, and Excel convinced them how they could add value, and there was actually value added even before, and it was almost a reward to letting them invest.
Yeah.
If maybe Alex, if you're listening to this live, maybe you can go find that podcast and put a link into
drop it in.
Yeah, I think it was a founder. What's it called? What do you call that? Was it Founders and Funders? And I think it was with Excel.
What do they call it, or what do you call it? It's
what
your
podcast,
Alex.
Yeah, I can't remember. We recorded like 3 years ago.
Michael, how did we do? Did we answer your question?
No, it was interesting. The story I was referring to is I came out of Waterloo, and back then Waterloo had a very thriving tech startup community. No, now Toronto does too. But we were actually lapped by our competition. We grew a company for 12 years, and we sold ourselves 100% to a larger engineering firm. We had better technology. That's what engineers focus on. But I often wonder if we hadn't, if we'd gotten some investing and put that into global sales and marketing and so on, could the story have ended differently? So I wonder sometimes.
Again, I'd argue that not only do you have to get the capital, but you have to know how to deploy it right.
Yeah, for sure. And your point about bringing in, or Jason's point about bringing in expertise, that would have allowed us to do that. We were engineers. We were teaching ourselves a bunch of stuff that other people could have done better.
And what company was it?
In Waterloo, I doubt you've heard of it. It was called Advanced Scientific Computing. It developed engineering simulation software.
No, unfortunately, I can't say I'm familiar with it.
Yes, it's not world famous.
Not yet. No, I'm just kidding.
It's long since gone.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Of course, if you think of another question, drop it in the chat. I'll bring you back up. Thanks, Michael.
Well, thanks for the comments. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. So that's pretty fun. Benefit of being an insider and being here live with us as we record this AMA. I've got another really cool one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to skip some of the AI ones because I feel like we talked about at the beginning. But this is a really neat one we have from an insider who submitted beforehand. How do you handle major pivots and work to continuously integrate your product into the current market? So I think this one's really interesting for Alex, who sees across a portfolio of early stage startups. How many across the portfolio now, Alex?
Over 70.
And one of the neat things is some of those positions are from way before the recent AI boom. Yeah. And so that's obviously a major market shift. You've also seen current market changes in COVID. You've also seen current market changes in fundraising environment. How have the best companies and conversely the worst companies in your portfolio handled some of these pivots?
Well, I'm not going to pick on the worst companies. So what I'd say is why companies don't succeed and what happens to them, everyone has a different reason. I think what they succeed is more, in a weird way, more common. And so I'm going to, first of all, I hate that word pivot because in many cases it means changes. And I don't know what a difference, so there's minor changes and there's big changes. Mm-hmm. So like I'd say major pivots when someone's actually changed it, like then a Slack, they're making a game and they make a Slack. And I've had a couple of those. We can get into those. But let's just talk about just changes in the business. I'd say every one of my companies that it would, the one where other VCs call, well, can you introduce us? We want to lead the next round. The ones that are hot and seem to have product market fit and scaling have all changed. No one is doing exactly the same thing they were doing at the beginning. They've changed who their customer is, they've changed their business model, they've changed their product, they've changed what's the actual solution they're solving. And I think this is a mix of two things. It's being open to feedback. So it's listening to customers and understanding the market. So maybe I'll give an example of one called VoiceFlow. Would love to get Braden here to tell a story, but because I'm going to butcher it now, I first looked at before invested in this company called Storyflow. They were trying to make choose your own adventures for Alexa. I'm like, okay, interesting. Love the team, not for me. Then they pivoted saying, hey, we're using a WYSIWYG interface to build our story so we can make other people make Alexa's apps. And so I said, okay, they pivoted to a bigger market because they saw that people wanted to use this. And then I invested in that, and they've each time, people are like, oh, how big is this market? They found another bigger problem they could solve with the current technology they couldn't solve 6, 12 months ago, and changed a few times to bigger and bigger things they could solve. So right now, a lot of the AI agents are being built on VoiceFlow because of what they've built, and it's 2 or 3 changes to get there. And you can go through company. It's I wouldn't say it's a market. The current market's a reflection of all the small changes in customer demand and technology. And so the best companies see a better way to solve a problem or a better problem to solve for a different set of customers, and have react to that and quickly embrace that and drop stuff. Another good one is Spellbook, who was originally started off as
Rally.
Rally. Thank you. They were originally doing a Dropbox and automation for lawyers. It was growing nicely, and then they said, well, let's play with this OpenAI, ChatGPT, and let's maybe automatically give feedback on how to build contracts. The first month they launched it, they're like, hey, this seems to have a lot of traction. This was a side project. Within 2 months, we basically told them, drop everything. This is where the customer demand is. Let's build upon this and keep on growing. And I'll just also comment on major pivots. I've had other companies say, hey, this just doesn't seem to be working, but along this way, we've found this product or adjacent market, or we can repurpose this technology from trying to solve a problem for the real estate market to the pharmacy market, the pharmaceutical market, because somehow, and they've done major pivots. Those ones are a whole different story, and that's a case-by-case story.
So if we go back to this question, it says, how do you handle major pivots and work to continuously integrate your product with the current market? I think what you're saying is that's the job. Like startups handle pivot, and you're saying a major pivot, like, okay, maybe there's pivots that look entirely different in the business, but mostly all they're doing is pivoting here and there to fit into their market and continuously integrate. So that's what they do.
And it never stops. Like, you get to product market fit. Just because you have product market fit doesn't mean you keep product market fit, or that product market fit's going to continue to grow forever. Like, look at 1Password. They went from a consumer product and enterprise product to many different verticals. Look at Facebook. They have many different social networks now. Like, you're always adapting. It's like a shark. You don't stop swimming.
Amazing. Okay. We're coming up to the last few questions here that have been pre-submitted. So of course, if you're here and hanging out with us, thank you for joining us. It's awesome to see you here. You can also drop your questions in the chat, or if you don't want to give away the question, you want to surprise us, you can let me know that you want to come on stage, and I'll bring you up and you can chat with us. I thought this was a great question that was asked. Someone gave a preface to say, hey, community seems really important, a community of advisors, a community of customers, a community of peers. How do I build my own community?
So are you talking about a network or a community?
I think they're trying to find inspiration, but also inspire others. So I think I don't know, how do you define the difference between network and community?
I think a network is a loose group of affiliations that you have one-way relationship with, and a community is a community that has conversations when you're not there, and it's all working towards a goal. Like, I like to think of TechTO as a community. Like, if you were to not be here tomorrow, and Riley and a couple other people were organizing and being the face of it, there's a community behind it. Network is something that's based upon your relationships with everyone.
Well, let's try both. So how do you build a network, and how do you build community?
The one thing they both have in common is give more than you get. I think people try to extract from a network and extract from a community they're building right away. I think to build a network, the best way is to have people inbound towards you, and where you're giving more, and they know what they can come to you for help. Community, one thing I think TechTO, when we went all the way when we back to startup, we said, we don't like, why did we start with, you have to share knowledge, and we talk about you. We want you to learn something new, and we want you to meet someone new, because we believe that's how people get value from each other, and it creates values. And we've always, all the decisions we put have put the community first. And I think lots of community organizers, so there has to be something you're organized around, what you're trying to accomplish as a community and what the sort of shared vision is, and how, and you should know what the unit value that people can get value out of it. And then every decision you have to be is puts the community first, not yourself first, or, so I think it's same principle in the higher level, like network, add value first. Maybe if I hate to use the word extract, maybe you can extract later, but it's the same thing with community. Put the community first. Just, it's a bigger, what's the mission if I'm not there? Or what's it trying to accomplish without there? I don't know. I feel like this is very soft answers. Do you have a better way of stating?
I think it's good. I think this is soft. I think the question is soft. So I think it deserves that kind of treatment. I think it's good. I think people here give more than you get, which is great advice. And I think they fuck it up. I think they think that means like, oh, I'm giving people the opportunity to learn more about my event that I'm putting on or learn more about my product. I think they really misconstrue that and actually don't deliver value they think they're delivering. The right way to do this is first, think of all your business goals that you want to achieve. All the ones that are like really important to you in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Community doesn't get you there. Yeah. If you think that it's going to get you there, you're wrong. Yeah. You're not going to get it there. If you have that ingoing mindset that community is going to be this driver of growth for you, you've lost before you've even started. That's like the number one part in community. Network, you can have goals, you can share goals, you can work together and do that. Community, your goals don't matter. And if you think they matter, then you've lost. So what that means is you have to learn about the community you're serving, understand their goals, and deliver to them. That is giving and not even expecting to receive. That, I think, is a big difference. Most people get that wrong.
I'll also give you a concrete example in networking.
Yeah.
So many people will come up to me, hey, Alex, I want to know you. And then they tell me why it'd be beneficial to them. I'll probably listen and do it, but most people are like, fuck off. Sorry, not PG version, but fuck off. I think the better way to do it is say, Alex, really interested in what you're doing. Have you seen this startup that many people, that's interesting in the ecosystem? I hear they're raising. Can I introduce you? And then you've done a favor to two people, and then they're going to listen to you. You've now got them in your network, right? It's again just a simple way of adding value. It's like putting the other people first and showing, hey, when I, and that's a soft way to start it off, right? Again, many different ways you can do it. Yeah. Like, I'm sure you've seen examples.
I think that's great. Concrete example. I think we covered that one really well. We have TechTO Insider members here with us tonight. We have another one here who wants to ask a live question. So we are going to throw it to Alexander, who has a question about understanding investors. So this question that he brings up to us is as follows. It says, how to know what an investor usually invests in. How do you find that information? Like you're here tonight, you hear Alex say tech, Canadian tech founders, sector agnostic, this, but there's so many investors, how to know what they invest in.
So usually I get the opposite question. How do I know which investors invest in XYZ startup?
Interesting. So,
yeah. If you want to know what investor, look, there's a couple ways. One is most investors have some type of website. Go look at their portfolio. That the least and usually they'll have a thesis or a theme, and they'll say, "Hey, we invest in checks." And even if it isn't explicit, they'll say maybe we invest in checks between 500,000 and $1 million. That tells you they're not investing late stage. Or if they say, we usually invest 5 to 20 million, they're not investing in a pre-seed company. Usually they'll have other things. Hey, we get really excited about software or hardware. So they on the website they usually tell you thesis. If not, there's a portfolio, and then you could get an idea from that. If they don't have that, you should look for blog posts, interviews, because everyone's gonna ask them in an interview. Hey, talk about this investment or not. Like there is breadcrumbs out there for most investors. I know a few investors that don't have a website and don't want to be known. They're not going to talk to you anyes. There's one I know. They exclusively invest in basically the extended PayPal mafia in any company they've started. So they've invested in Palantir and what's it called, Tesla, and SpaceX, and they'll invest in those alumni. And I think the other way is, yeah, just there's digital breadcrumbs. You can invest in it. And the flip side is if you want to see who's investing in the space, go look at the companies that are in your space and see who's investing each round. And there's going to be Crunchbase. There's going to be press releases. You can go BetaKit, TechCrunch. There's many ways. It's
yeah,
research.
it's a great point, which is there's very few situations that you find yourself in where you're like, I want to know what this investor invests in. Like, I guess maybe to be polite, if you see Alex at like a cocktail party and you want to talk about things that interest him, but like that scenario doesn't really come up, you know? Maybe you get inbound from a VC and you just want to turn it away by going to the website and say, I don't know why you reached out to me. But yeah, mostly you have an idea, you have something you're working on, you're looking for people that match your thesis, and that involves researching others and reaching out to them, right? I love that.
And there's a couple of websites that would say, hey, if you're looking for investors, invest in early stage rocket tech companies. They've compiled lists. I think one's called
they'll tell
you. And I think Signal FX has one as well.
So if you come to one of our TechTO events, IRL, I usually don't allow follow-up questions. That is, no, we're not a follow-up question kind of. It's one question, not two questions, first question, second question. It's a question. But here, when you're an insider, you get a little special treatment. So Alexander coming back with a follow-up question here, another newbie question. Are founders superhumans, or handling all the lots of things in business is hard but doable for regular people?
I think everyone's a regular person, but look, no founder can do everything, or not many founders can do everything. Maybe there's one or two exceptional, like maybe Elon Musk is proven to be superhuman. Maybe he's built an AI machine that pretends to be him. And he also has lots of experience. I think the key skill is to understand what to prioritize and to get done, and understand when you can't get something done is to get someone else to do it for you. And I think that's what makes the best founders, is they're constantly prioritizing the highest value activity and knowing when they can't solve it to get who else they can get to solve it. And I think that makes them look superhuman, because I think it's not a skill we're taught in school. It's not a skill that's valued in lots of businesses, lots of jobs. You just do what's being assigned to you. And there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Ambiguity, what that problem might be. So you have to be quick at. It's also knowing when to push harder, when not to push. I think there's certain skill sets that founders have in common, but anyone, I think I'd like to believe anyone can learn them and figure them out. Jason, thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll answer like the question. I don't think founders are superhuman at all. They might actually be subhuman. They've made some suboptimal decisions to subject themselves to this kind of journey. But I do think that the successful ones do know themselves well. To your point, Alex, they know their strengths. They know their limitations. They build great teams around them that help them achieve the goal. And I think they have a lot of passion for what they're doing. And they apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. I mean, there's no way to do all of these things at 100% capacity. So you have to find out how to do 20% of the work that gets 80% of the value. There's no way around that. And that's just a helpful skill for anybody, I think. And there's a lot of different ways to get good at it. And one of it is subjecting yourself to this journey. Which brings us, I think, to a great next question that was submitted by an insider, which was, how can someone build a great team? What should they be paying attention to in the early hiring process?
So I'm going to go with early hiring process, assume it's an early stage company. I think it's a mix of making sure you have experts in the skills you need to build. So you need someone that can build and someone that can sell. Right. And what that mean can be different by company. You need to make sure those two skills are in your team. Probably someone has a spike in each and the rest are generalists. And what you want is a team that can communicate well, learn fast, and get shit done. I think as you grow, you need more and more specialists, right? Like, at the beginning, unless your company depends on SEO, I don't need to see an SEO expert. But what I do is what I'm looking for at a high level is, does this team have some unique insight? Does this team complement each other? And do they know what their holes are? Can they prove they're tenacious? Can they prove they can learn fast? Can they prove can they sell and can they build and can they get customers? It's a lot, but if those are 2, 3 people or 5 people, there's a lot of generals, like what I, small, it's a bit of a spike, but a generals that can get lots of shit done. Jason, you built the team recently, so what's your answer here?
Well, I think I think to your point, it starts with great co-founders. Yeah. So, the path is set very early on by making sure you have the right people around the table when you begin, right? So the first question is how to find a great co-founder. And that's understanding your strengths, understanding, that you want someone with complementary skill sets. I think Alex said it well. If you sell, you should find someone who can build. If you build, you should find someone who can sell. I think those are the two ones that you want early on. And then the build a great team has a couple dimensions. One, hiring the right people. People hire the wrong people. So you should know what you need to build out your team. And then you need to understand what's going to make somebody good at that role might not be what made them good at doing it at the enterprise level or at a big bank or at the government before. It might be someone who has less skill, but more of the hustle, the get things done, the 80-20 stuff that we spoke about so that you can get high volume of things out. So finding those people is really hard. So I think like what you'd be paying attention to, I think the referral sources that you're finding candidates from, like if you're depending on Indeed, nothing against Indeed. Indeed they seem to be everywhere. They're on the radio, but I don't know anybody who's knowingly posted their job on Indeed or got a job from Indeed. I don't know. It's not here.
I'll jump in on that point. I think one reason you usually get questions from VCs is like, how do you know each other?
What are they really asking when they ask that?
They're trying to say, hey, do we really believe these teams know how to work together? Do we believe they're going to stick through it? Like, the worst thing is investors, you don't want to invest in a team that within 3 months hates each other and doesn't want to work together. And one of the things I look for is I have my checklist. I have a framework. It's like, do I believe these people are talent magnets? And there's a few ways. One is, can they recruit people? Can they identify great people? And some people have an advantage. Like, that's why people are like, hey, this person was senior at Shopify. Is she gonna be able to have 4 people? She's not gonna poach people because that's probably not allowed. But if 4 people going to voluntarily call her up and say, I want to join this company, and she's going to be able to pick the best people from Shopify or somewhere else. And that's very important for early stage because each of those people are so crucial. I want to know how they're going to find those people, why they're going to work together, and how well they know them.
I think it's perfect. I think that's a huge one. And Riley here chimes in with, I think, a really great point: culture fit over specific skills. I think sometimes you need both.
One risk with culture fit is you get a cult. And what I mean by that is I think culture fit's a weird word. I think you want culture adjacent. And there's someone that has a similar beliefs and values that could bring a different perspective than you and the team and makes a team grow culturally. I think sometimes I've seen it's a bunch of, get 6 people that have the exact same views. They're all coming from McKinsey background. Let's become McKinsey or alma mater. You may have a team that has holes, blind spots they don't know about. But again, culture over specific skills, you need to have the right skills and the right culture. So both.
Dan with the culture adjacent. I love it. All right, we got one last question. And then for those that are still hanging with us, we're going to go into some networking sessions. We're going to do some one-on-one chats for everyone that's here. Have an opportunity to ask Alex or me questions privately in one-on-one sessions. Super fun. You'll have 4 minutes each. We'll do a few rounds of them. I think it'll be really cool. But before we get there, we have one last question, which is, Alex, what are your goals for 2024? What are you hoping to achieve with your business?
Goals 2024? I don't even know what year it is. Is that next year? Look, I'm not really specific to annual goals. I'm like, this is going to sound cheesy. It's like continuous improvement and do better what I'm doing. Like, look, I'm trying to build the best early stage venture fund in Canada or globally. And so I'm trying to always improve. How do I source better companies? How do I work with better founders? How do I add more value and make a difference to all my stakeholders? Likewise, with the TechTO community, how do we always add more value to the overall community? And the other one is, how do I do both of those and be a better human for at least my family and myself? But it sounds very generic. I think every once in a while, maybe at the beginning of the year, I'll say, okay, what habits should I do to excel, do that? Like, so maybe done anything like I should add yoga or eat less sugar. But I'm like, my goals are continuous, like almost like continuous improvement goals. It's like, I don't know. I have like numeric targets and stuff like that, but they're not exciting. They're ways to measure, am I getting towards improving and achieving more? I don't know. I feel like that's a non-answer, but that's my approach. Jason?
I mean, okay, nice non-answer. You're going to do more yoga. You've said that every year for 10 years. You're not going to do more yoga. My business goals, I think it's kind of simple, actually. It goes back to like how we opened the conversation around VC. Our goal is to become default alive. It's to be profitable and control our own destiny. And I think that would be a really great milestone for the business. It makes us venture optionable, so we're venture funded. And the question is, do we want to continue to be venture funded, or do we want to be more in control? And ideally, that means if we're able to achieve that, we're on the right path and we can decide if we want to use venture as a tool or not. Versus, I think the tougher part to be in, which is needing to use venture as a tool to keep exploring our journey and exploring our market. So that's what we have our focus on. Of course, the sooner the better, but I'll take it by December. So I'll give ourselves 13, 14 months to get there, and I'd be happy to end the year there. Cool. Alex, you did great. I don't know exactly how many questions we got through. We didn't get through all of them, but I think we got through a lot of them. And I'm excited for you to stick around and do some of those one-on-one insider sessions. I just want to say, before we head over to the one-on-one sessions, a huge thank you to everyone for joining us. This was all recorded, so we'll be sharing it back with you and with the other insiders who weren't able to make it today. There are over 500 insiders and growing, and I know a lot of them weren't able to come and join us here. So we'll share it back with them so you can continue the conversation, ask more questions, and if something hits you, put it in the AMA for next time. We would love to see you. As you guys know, we're doing this more and more frequently. We're going to do the next one real soon, so keep your eye out either on your email or in the Insider Slack, and you'll find out. Upcoming events, we got them, and we want to see you there. We've got an insider event, an IRL insider event. So if you are in Toronto, we would love to see you on November 29th at Othership. Othership is wild. If you haven't heard of Othership, you should Google it. It is so crazy. We've done this before with our insiders, and I would love to see you there at the next one. Tickets and more information are available in your insider newsletter, so definitely check your inbox. We've also have a TechTO premium event coming up. It's on November 6th at U of T Rotman. I would love to see you there.